two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight. All right. We get in position here. You're okay. And start.
Good afternoon, everyone. While I know you all know who I am, for the record, let me just say my name is John Lang. Uh, for almost 50 years, I've been in the banking and finance industry, making credit decisions on individual credit reports and utilizing those reports to make those decisions with. Today, in giving you this information, I've obtained that information from a number of sources. One of them is my own personal experience, interviews with my wife Anita, information from TransUnion credit bureaus, from the Federal Reserve, from Experian Credit Bureau, from Julia Heath's book on credit and borrowing, and the Journal on Investigative Society, which I don't believe I've quite said that name right, but that's okay. Um, the the oh, I'm kind of lost here. The I've worked for a number of banks in southern Indiana for a large number of years, and I was in charge of the investigative division with almost 100 people in it, whose sole purpose was just to investigate directly their credit information that they had put on their loan applications. In the late 1980s, a number of large lending institutions went together and decided to establish a protocol for a credit scoring system and to eliminate the need to verify directly credit information. Um, they wanted to establish a credit scoring system so that they could utilize inexperienced people to make those loan decisions. Uh, Later still, they decided they wanted to do away with those inexperienced people and use computer programs to make those credit decisions. As a matter of fact, the computers could then make those decisions in just a matter of seconds instead of hours that it normally took. Uh, I would like to take a few minutes to tell you about your credit scores, which you probably don't know about. And one of the things I've given you here tells you what Credit Karma thinks a good score is, which is 710. But what they do not tell you is the fact that in order to get that free information, you have to give them your current address. Uh, you have to give them your previous addresses. You have to give them your telephone numbers. And then Credit Karma turns around and sells that information to collection companies and credit agencies that may be looking for you. So while it may be nice to get that free credit score, you need to give it some consideration before you go and do it. Now, one of the other things that you probably do not know, in order to make a credit decision, most lenders and vendors, and by vendors I mean like department stores and places like that, usually pull three credit bureau reports, one from TransUnion, one from Experian, and one from Equifax. And what they do is they throw out the high score and the low score and utilize the middle score to base their decision on, which I don't necessarily think is fair because the reason for the differences are is that the three bureaus never have the same information. However, if you check your information occasionally, you can correct that problem. Um, the uh, the the way to go about changing your score to improve your life uh, is is not all that difficult. All you need to do is maintain your payments within 30 days of the date that it's due. Uh, Try to maintain a stable residence. Try to maintain stable employment. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to stay at the same job, but if you're in the same career field, it's counted as being the very same job. So there are a number of things there that you can do. And the other thing is that you need to check your credit reports to know if there's erroneous information on them. And by that mean it could be somebody else's information entirely on your file, giving you a bad credit score. It could be a bad score that that you don't even deserve. That really wasn't even yours. But any of those things can be changed. All you have to do is notify the credit bureau, and they have 30 days in which to contact that lender who has given you that score. And if they can't prove it, they have to remove it. So I mean, there are a number of things that can be done there. The one of the important things that you need to do and keep in mind is to simply check your credit reports several times a year to find out if they're where you think they should be. And with that, I'll finish up, except to ask if any of you have any questions. If you do, I'll try to answer them the best that I can.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
What's the best way someone could go about improving their credit score?
Well, you could get if your credit is really down in the dumps, you could get a secured credit card. The one thing that you need to make certain of, not all secured cards are reported to the credit bureau. So you need to ask when you go about getting one, is this going to be reported to the credit bureau? And if it is, whatever charges you make on it, don't go over 50%, because they feel if you're not above that, then you're in good shape. So you want to try and keep that secured card below a 50% charge balance at all times. And the other way is, like I said, try to maintain stable residence, try to maintain stable jobs, and any type of information that is derogatory, you can dispute. And when you dispute it, that forces the credit bureau to go to that lender, that creditor, and say, is this information correct? Well, most lenders, I'd say most, all of them, do not keep your information beyond 2 years. And so they are unable to verify that the information is true or not. So they have to remove it. If you have derogatory information and you dispute it, the credit bureau contacts that lender, and if it's more than 2 years old, they're probably going to have to remove it. And when it's removed, it is going to drastically change your credit score.
Got it.
So there are things that can be done.
Okay, I have a question. Like on this chart here, it's 580, like in the middle. Does that mean that's an average score?
No, it is not. 580 is not a good score. Okay. Credit Karma there on the form that I gave you. By the way, let me show you this. This is a color version of what I have given you there.
Okay.
And what it's showing you is a score of 710 that Credit Karma is saying, well, that's a good score. Okay? And it is. However, if you're over 680, you're not batting too bad. Okay? You're going to be able to get most things that you want. Now, the higher that score is up the scale, the better the rate you're going to have.